Tolu.
Thanks, Josh. Going back to Senator Reid's letter, he basically accused the FBI director of potentially violating the Hatch Act, and you said that you believe that Director Comey is a man of integrity. In the letter that Senator Reid sent, he said that he once believed that Director Comey was a principled servant, and he now no longer believes that. So what is your reaction to that letter, and do you agree with Senator Reid on this?
Well, questions about the application of the Hatch Act should be directed to the Office of Special Counsel. This is an independent agency that is filled with attorneys and investigators who, among their responsibilities, are investigating potential violations of the Hatch Act. But again, you'll have to talk to them to even confirm the existence of an investigation, let alone learn more about what they have concluded. With regard to Director Comey, as I said at the top, the president believes that he's a man of integrity, he's a man of character, he's a man of principle, and he's got a very difficult job. And those character traits that I just described will serve him well as he works through the difficult challenges that he faces over the course of his job.
You said you spoke to the president earlier today. Could you describe his mood, how he's taking the general news? Obviously, there's a political side to this, and we saw Secretary Clinton and her campaign reacting very strongly to this. Has the president had that same level of sort of visceral reaction to how this is impacting the election?
Well, Tolu, with regard to the impact on the election, I think there's a lot of speculation out there in terms of what potential impact this could have. Based on the public evidence that I've seen from polls and other analysis, there hasn't been a significant change in the race. There are probably some analysts who disagree with that. Maybe they're right. I think what those of you who have been covering the president for a while now know that the president is somebody who is pretty even keel. He doesn't get too high or too low, and he has a tendency to focus on the responsibilities that he has in front of him. And the president feels strongly, as you've heard him say, about supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign. And over the course of the next week, the president has put together a rather aggressive travel schedule to make the case to the American public in support of the candidate that he's endorsed. That's what the president's focused on, and that's I would not anticipate a significant change to the public pitch that President Obama will be making in support of Secretary Clinton's campaign.
You also mentioned longstanding guidelines that the FBI has about discussing ongoing investigations. There are also longstanding guidelines about taking actions that could be seen as influencing an election so close to an election. Is that something that the president is concerned about? Is that something that the president believes, as many Democrats do, were undermined in this case?
Well, those kinds of guidelines are important. I'd refer you to the Department of Justice and to the FBI for how those guidelines are observed and enforced. But I think the president is every bit as concerned about the broader principle, which is the Department of Justice is entrusted with expansive responsibilities. And those responsibilities are tempered with guidelines and traditions that limit the public discussion of investigations. And the president believes that principle, those guidelines, are applicable even when there's not an election around the corner, even when one individual who is affected by the investigation is not a global figure. And the president believes it's important for everybody to be mindful of those guidelines. Okay.